Episode 19, a teammate acting like a pig. Unable to restrain the burning love. Ning Xuelua was absolutely infuriated by Jia Qingqing's stubbornness. Can't you see that everyone is starting to sympathize with her because of this? Do you want to help her make a comeback and continue acting alongside your beloved Mai? Jia Qingqing hesitated for a moment but still didn't budge. I won't go. I'd rather die than apologize to that wench. She thought this was just a minor issue and could be resolved by buying some small gifts for the people involved. Seeing that she couldn't reason with Jia Qingqing, Ning Xuelua had to give up. She hoped that from now on, Jia Qingqing wouldn't cause any more problems. Ningxi's reputation was already tarnished beyond repair, and no matter how cunning she was, her bag of tricks could only go so far. She couldn't change her fate. Ning Xuelua believed that it wouldn't be long before the mysterious backer behind Ningxi would dump her. Who would want a scandalous lover who publicly humiliated them? With this in mind, Ning Xuelua felt relieved. For the final scene, Guo Qixing decided not to reshoot it to avoid further conflicts and used the footage of Ningxi pretending to be injured. The second scene they filmed that day involved Meng Chang'e visiting the Cold Palace to reveal the true identity of the deposed empress, the Empress Dowager. Fortunately, this scene was relatively safe, focusing on facial expressions and dialogue, with no physical actions. 3, 2, 1, action. The shooting began. In the Cold Palace, the Empress Dowager sat on a large chair and glared at the disheveled woman who had fallen at her feet. Empress, do you know why I despise you so much? Why do you want to lead yourself to destruction? You wretched woman. You're jealous of me. Jealous that the Emperor favors me. Jealous of my favor. The Empress Dowager chuckled as if she had heard a great joke. Jealous? Jealous of your favor with that old man? Empress, are you insane? I will tell the Emperor. I will tell the Emperor that you insulted. The Empress Dowager suddenly fixed a menacing gaze on the Empress, silencing her, and then said slowly, Empress, do you know who I am? Do you remember the name? Meng Chang'e. You. Jia Qingqing fumbled over her lines for a long time. Guo Qixing shouted, cut. Let's do it again. The second take began. Empress, do you know who I am? Do you remember the name Meng Chang'e? This time, Ningxi's gaze was even more piercing, like a vengeful ghost strangling her opponent. Are you Meng Chang'e? How is that possible? Jia Qingqing's voice wavered, and she forgot her lines again. Cut. This time, Guo Qixing had completely lost his patience. He threw the script aside and berated Jia Qingqing. Jia Qingqing, what's wrong with you? You can't even remember such a simple line. Do you ever read the script in your spare time? It wasn't surprising that Guo Qixing was angry. He was thrilled that Ningxi's emotions were so intense this time, and he had the opportunity to capture a perfect scene. Yet, Jia Qingqing's blunder had ruined it. The onlookers among the crew couldn't help but show disdain for the situation. Is Jia Qingqing brain dead? Reciting the same line over and over, and she still can't remember it. Are you Meng Chang'e? How can you be Meng Chang'e? Meng Chang'e is clearly dead. Is it that difficult to memorize such a simple line? That post criticized Ningxi's acting skills, but they should watch Jia Qingqing, and then they'll know what a real pile of dog poop looks like. In fact, Ningxi's acting is quite good. Have you noticed that all her scenes have been done in a single take? Even when there are retakes, it's usually due to other people's mistakes. Yes, that's true. I originally thought it was because she was just being herself, but her performance as young Meng Chang'e yesterday was outstanding. Even though she was flirting with Jiong the whole time, for some reason, it didn't come off as creepy. It actually made me feel giddy. Yeah. I was so excited watching it yesterday. I wouldn't be happy if they replaced her with someone else. In my heart, Meng Chang'e is Ningxi. Ning Xuelua never expected the situation to get worse. In her mind, she cursed Jia Qingqing hundreds of times. However, she maintained a concerned look as she approached. Qingqing, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well today? Jia Qingqing was in a state of frustration and said, I don't know what's wrong with me. Every time I see Ningxi, I forget my lines. It's like I'm possessed. How could this be? Ning Xuelua didn't fully believe Jia Qingqing's explanation, thinking that her poor acting skills and lack of dedication were to blame. Nevertheless, she patiently said, take it slow, it will get better. I'll help you rehearse. Ning Xuelua rehearsed with Jia Qingqing, and this time, she smoothly delivered her lines. You see, that was great, right? Ning Xuelua encouraged her. Jia Qingqing quickly regained her confidence and went to find the director. Director, I'm ready. By now, Guo Qixing had managed to calm down somewhat. His expression softened a bit as he said, then let's start. However, this time, Jia Qingqing still couldn't remember her lines. She was unwilling to give up and attempted the scene over and over again. However, she ended up failing consecutively for 28 takes. This seemingly simple scene had turned into a never-ending ordeal, and the entire crew was getting increasingly frustrated. This was a film production, not a television drama. Repeating a scene so many times was a waste of manpower and money. On the 33rd take, Jia Qingqing suddenly stood there dazed and then screamed like a madwoman. She lunged at Ningxi, shouting, "Ningxi, you wretch, what did you do to me? Why can't I remember my lines? Why can't I remember my lines? It's you. It must be you messing with me." The nearby assistants and others rushed to restrain her, but she vigorously pushed them all away, scratching Ning Xuelua when she tried to console her. At this point, everyone was thoroughly disgusted with her. Is she truly brain dead? She can't even remember her lines, and she's blaming it on someone else? Can someone else sneak into her brain to steal her lines? She's inconveniencing so many people, and she doesn't seem to feel guilty at all. Ningxi is also in a tough spot, getting entangled with such a character. Did you guys think last night's incident was suspicious? Jiong had just joined the cast, and then this happens with Ningxi. If Ningxi gets kicked out of the production, who benefits the most? Do we even need to ask that? At this point, everyone wore expressions that showed they were well aware of what was happening. After the chaotic incident, everyone wrapped up their work and dispersed. Jia Qingqing was suspended from filming for 2 days to calm down. As Ningxi removed her makeup and prepared to leave, Ning Xuelua entered quietly. She crossed her arms and looked at Ningxi with a contemptuous expression. "Ningxi, I didn't expect you to be so scheming." "Oh? Do you think I'm scheming?" Ningxi glanced at the bloodstains on Ning Xuelua's arms caused by Jia Qingqing's scratching and blinked innocently. "Isn't it that you just have a good eye for picking teammates?" "You?" Ning Xuelua bit her lip, feeling a painful ache in her chest. She had no idea that Jia Qingqing would act so irrationally. Despite the evidence against Ningxi, Jia Qingqing managed to wash herself clean, and the crew members were starting to view Ningxi differently. Ningxi was bound to make her next move, and Ning Xuelua had to find a way to deal with it. She couldn't let Ningxi make a comeback. After a brief confrontation with Ning Xuelua, Ningxi headed for the exit. Her phone beeped, indicating a new message. "Wu Yao King, I'm waiting for you at the corner ahead." Ningxi replied cautiously, "Let's go our separate ways for now. I'll see you at your place." 1 hour later, Platinum Emperor Palace, number 6. Ningxi had just arrived at the door when Jiong immediately pulled her inside. He looked around as if he were meeting an underground contact. Before, he hadn't cared about his relationship with Ningxi and even wanted everyone to know they were quite close. However, after this recent incident, he had to reconsider his past actions. Ningxi put down her bag, kicked off her shoes, and sat cross-legged on the sofa. Her first question was, "Did you record the video?" Jiong looked at her, speechless, as she casually asked the question. Did she not consider him a man? Why did she always act so casually and with a roguish attitude in front of him? She was just like her character in the drama. "Do you think I'm a teammate acting like a pig?" "Of course, I recorded it." Jiong handed her his phone, annoyed. When she had said she wanted to act like a pure and innocent flower, he had guessed her intentions. So, he promptly captured all the exciting moments. Ningxi took the phone and checked each video one by one, nodding in satisfaction. "Not bad. You deserve a chicken drumstick." Afterwards, she opened Weibo and posted a message on her main account. The content was not the apology that Chongli requested, but just 4 words, "The clear one clears themselves." After posting, she logged into her secondary account and sent a private message to a gossip blogger known to be affiliated with Shengshi. She provided the videos of Jia Qingqing repeatedly forgetting her lines. These two were clearly arch-enemies, and after sending the message, the blogger promptly published the videos along with a sensational caption, 33 takes, the entertainment industry's #1 base shows you what it means to have acting skills as bad as crap. Jiong glanced at her and said, "You're just posting this one? What about the other videos? I worked hard to capture them." Ningxi buried her head in reading comments and replied, "This one is enough to get the ball rolling. We won't need to take action ourselves. Do you think you were the only one who recorded videos at the time? Why didn't you use this strategy against Jia Qingqing earlier? If you had done it sooner, she would have been replaced immediately, and there wouldn't have been so much trouble. I had to endure that woman for 2 days for nothing. Jiong Mai grumbled unhappily. No one at the scene understood why Jia Qingqing kept forgetting her lines. Only Jiong Mai knew what was happening. The reason Jia Qingqing repeatedly forgot her lines was because Ningxi intentionally dominated the scene. The technique of dominating a scene was something that only experienced actors could master. It involved deliberately showcasing one's acting skills to psychologically pressure the other actor, causing them to lose focus, forget lines, and even potentially leaving a lifelong psychological scar. Very few people in the entertainment industry could use this technique effectively, and the most important part was that it was challenging to spot any flaws in the execution. It was a subtle but devastating approach that left no visible marks. Ningxi glanced at Jiong Mai and said, using such a powerful technique is not something to be taken lightly. This technique required specific situations, and the scene that day was perfect for applying it to Jia Qingqing. Additionally, this approach severely disrupted the filming process, so she would only use it as a last resort. Jiong Mai couldn't help but recall some unpleasant memories from the past and pouted, "Well, I'm honored to be one of the few you spared from using such a technique." Back then, he had also been subjected to Ningxi's domination, but he was not like Jia Qingqing. Instead, he had persevered and even made a leap in his acting skills. After hearing what Jiong Mai said, Ningxi's expression suddenly changed, and she looked at him intently. "Do you want to have dinner later? You promised to treat me separately, and you also promised to play games with me another day." Jiong Mai's expression immediately turned cold. "You're just a temporary sedative for me. Why do you have to send a message to him instead of returning? What exactly is your relationship with Lu De? Although I sent the message to Lu De, the recipient is my darling, okay?" Ningxi couldn't be bothered to argue with him. She began typing a message. "Dear sweetie, Auntie has something to do tonight and might come back late. Be a good boy, have your dinner, and go to bed early. Auntie will buy you cute clothes when she has time. Love you, moi." Jiong Mai looked at the message, his eyes reddening with anger. "Why are you so gentle with your darling? You've never been this gentle with me. Instead, you always beat me up." Ningxi gave him a sidelong glance. "Who told you to be so unmanageable? Can you be as cute as my darling?" Fire blazed in Jiong Mai's beautiful eyes as he glared at Ningxi. "Ningxi, did you ever truly like me back then? Were you only close to me for?" Ningxi looked at him with a surprised expression. "Why, of course not. You. Jiong Mai pointed at her but couldn't speak for a long time. Ningxi rested her chin on her hand and smiled at him. "How is it? Have you had enough of that? Do you still want to have dinner now?" Jiong Mai gritted his teeth. Yes. He absolutely couldn't fall for her schemes. Meanwhile, at the Lu residence, Lu Jingli sat on the sofa with a pillow in his arms. If he had a tail, it would be wagging at top speed right now. "Brother, you have to tell me, what happened last night?" Due to Ningxi's earlier remark about finding a woman, Lu Tingxiao's face had been dark ever since, and he had no mood to satisfy Lu Jingli's curiosity. "Is it because you couldn't control the burning love in your heart and lost control for a moment, going for a late-night attack? However, you didn't control your strength, so you accidentally woke little Shi up. Faced with a dilemma, you pretended to be sleepwalking?" Lu Jingli's imagination was in full swing. Lu Tingxiao glanced at him and couldn't help but think about it. Did this guy put all his smarts into imagining such things? Seeing his elder brother's expression, Lu Jingli knew that his guess was right and immediately wore a smug expression. "Oh my, I'm truly brilliant. Brother, am I your intimate little cotton jacket?" Seeing Lu Jingli's excited expression, Lu Tingxiao generously said, "The vacation is extended to 1 month." Lu Jingli was so thrilled that he nearly jumped up and did a set of radio exercises on the spot. However, he couldn't help but express some regret. "Brother, you didn't take this opportunity to directly pounce on little Shi? What a pity." Lu Tingxiao gave him a cold glance. "What do you think would have happened if I had done that?" "Well," Lu Jingli rubbed his chin thoughtfully, "you've been using little treasure as an excuse to slowly gain little Shi's trust, like boiling a frog in warm water. If you had shown your true intentions now, she would probably run away immediately." While this was indeed true, hearing it so bluntly from Lu Jingli made him feel even worse. Actually, he had considered just going for it yesterday, but when he saw the extreme rejection and fear in Ningxi's reaction, he immediately reconsidered. In retrospect, his decision had been correct, as she would have likely been scared away under those circumstances. What had caused that kind of reaction? What had she been through? Brother, may I ask you a question? Why have your emotions been so unstable recently? Has something happened? Lu Jingli cautiously asked, although the word unstable didn't fully capture the mood swings Lu Tingxiao had been experiencing lately. Lu Tingxiao's long, slender fingers rhythmically tapped the armrest of his chair, and he replied in a deep voice, "The person who sent the flowers that day was Jiong Mai." "What did you say?" Lu Jingli was stunned for a moment, and then he suddenly jumped up, exclaiming, "Damn it. The Dark King is actually Jiong Mai. Didn't he just return to the country the day before yesterday? I even heard that he's going to play the male lead in The World. I didn't expect that he would have this kind of relationship with little she. It seems that this kid, who has been back for just a few days, chose this role for a particular reason. You know, he has many intimate scenes with little she in this show. Let me think, has he met little she recently? Did you catch them in some ambiguous situation?" Lu Jingli's speculations were completely accurate. "Oh my god, I never expected you to be so out of sorts recently." Lu Jingli rambled on. "I can't believe there's a traitor among us. What about the diamonds? Have they been traced?" Lu Tingxiao's gaze darkened, and he said, "The person who delivered the diamonds disappeared without a trace, and the source of the diamonds cannot be traced. It's highly likely that they were smuggled through a special channel." Hearing this, Lu Jingli's lips twitched, and he muttered, "Another headache. Could it be someone related to the Lu family again? As for the initials YS, do we have anyone around us with those two letters? It seems there isn't. Sai, my dear brother, you've really had a complicated love life. While others are in romantic idol dramas, you're in a suspenseful detective drama." At that moment, Lu Tingxiao's phone rang with a message from Ningxi. After reading the message, his eyes showed the signs of a dangerous creature stirring. Lu Jingli leaned in, curious. Little she's message. What did she say? Why did his brother's expression look like he'd been cuckolded? Lu Tingxiao stared at the message for a few seconds and then made a phone call. Ningxi, who was in the 6th villa, answered the call quickly. "Hello, Lu Tingxiao, is there something you need? Did you see the message I sent earlier? Make sure to show it to little treasure." "I saw it. Where are you?" Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi glanced at Jiong Mai, who was busy in the kitchen, claiming to showcase his culinary skills, and replied, "I'm at Jiong Mai's place right now. We have something to discuss, and since he just returned to the country, we're having dinner together to welcome him."